And now, it's time for the Well-Read Llama with your host, author Erin Mifflin.
Hello, listeners. I hope your summer is going well. I am thoroughly enjoying my summer vacation. I'm getting things done, enjoying extra time with my new husband, and thankful to have a break from teaching, even though I absolutely love my job. Next year will be my 15th year teaching at our Christian school, and I love my students and coworkers. Our guest today is also a teacher as well as an author. Shannon Sue Dunlap writes romantic comedies, and her current series is set on board a cruise ship. I've actually never been on a cruise, but I know many people who love them. If you're one of those people, turn up the volume and lean in. I can't wait to get to know Shannon and learn more about her stories. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you would take a moment to follow me on Facebook or Instagram. You can find me at author Erin Mifflin. You'll be the first to know about who our next author guest will be. You can keep up with my own writing journey, and you can also read about my love story with my husband, as I've been working on sharing that through blog posts. It's been a lot of fun to relive those first moments of meeting each other, and I look forward to sharing more. Now, let's bring in our guest. Hello, Shannon, and welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you have a new book that just released. Congratulations. And before we talk about this specific story, tell us about this series and who the recurring characters are.
Well, the series is called the Love Overboard series, and it was actually inspired by a real-life person. I was watching TV one day, and they had a feature about a woman, I believe she was 80, and had decided to skip the retirement home and live on a cruise ship instead. And the video showed her dancing with the cruise director. You know, she had her colorful outfit. I think she had a selection of jewelry that she wore when she was on the boat, and it was just such a fun, exciting idea that I thought, why not take not just one lady, but 4 ladies and have them all retire on the cruise ship and spend their days matchmaking the young people and helping them find love. And that's where the idea came from.
Well, that is so interesting. I did not know that it was sort of, with a nugget from real life on there.
Mm-hmm. It's actually a thing right now, or at least it was, with seniors retiring on cruise ships instead. And so it wasn't just that one woman. Once I started to research it, there are different people even posting videos on YouTube and such of their lives living on a cruise ship, it seemed.
Well, that's a whole thing that you could get into if you were interested in that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So the first book, it has the same name as the series, Love Overboard. And so these ladies, you've called them the shippers. And who are they trying to get together in the first book?
They have some unwilling matches that they are trying to stick together. Lacey is a hostess on the cruise ship, and when her ex-boyfriend from a couple of years before starts to work on her ship, then the shippers spot the chemistry between them and try to reconcile them and give them a second chance romance, much to Lacey's chagrin. No matter how fast she runs, she can't seem to get away from them.
And so the second book of the series is called Hearts Aweigh, and that's the one that just released. And who are the shippers targeting in this book?
In Hearts Aweigh, the best friend from the first book of Lacey, her name was Abby, loved the guy that they found for Lacey so much that she's like, hey, do that for me too. Find me my perfect match. She is actually a very willing participant in the matchmaking. She actually has an interview with them, and tells them what she's looking for. She's like, please help me. I want to get married. And what she did not expect was that one of the sons of the shippers comes to the boat to get his mom to stop cruising around and to come home, and instead they decide to matchmake him with Abby.
Oh, that's so fun. I like that she's a willing participant and wants to find someone.
Yes.
That's a fun dichotomy between the two friends, it sounds like. And so I am delightfully intrigued about these characters. Did you have fun incorporating these cheery septuagerian matchmakers into your story?
I don't think of it so much as incorporating them in as they really are the story. If you had to tell me, okay, the next book, you can only write a romance with a couple or you can only have the shippers, then I'd be like, well, forget the romance. I'll just write about the shippers. They're so much fun. They are the main story to me. The reason why I called them the shippers was they're all about relationships and they live on a ship. And if you go around social media enough too, you see people when they talk about shipping somebody, like maybe their favorite couple in a TV show that they're watching. So that's where the whole name came from.
That's so fun. I really do enjoy stories where the characters are, maybe a little bit out of the normal range of what you would find when you just pick up a regular fiction book. So this definitely sounds like that would be that kind of a story.
Well, hopefully it's something new and interesting for the reader when they dive into it.
Yes. Now, are you personally a fan of cruising?
Surprisingly, I am not. I am
Oh,
a huge fan of traveling, but not cruising. I would rather get on a plane and fly somewhere, let's say Europe or Korea or some place far away, rather than just staying on the boat the whole time. But I know other people who love, getting on the ship and having everything right there where they want it. As far as the huge ocean liners, I've only ever been on one cruise.
okay. Well, that's more than me. I have not been on a cruise at all, but like you, I know people who absolutely love it and they go as often as they can. So
Hmm.
that's kind of interesting that you've set your story there, even though that's not something that you would personally do.
Yes, I really had to do my research and find out what it was like. And I did. One of the reasons I took that cruise, I wanted to experience it for myself since I was writing about this world. I was taking
Right.
notes, and using some of the stuff that I saw there in the first book from what I remember. But I have also been on one other cruise that was a European river cruise, and that was interesting too. It was different than the ocean cruise for sure.
So you mentioned that you are a fan of traveling. What's the biggest adventure that you have personally been on while traveling?
Ooh, while traveling, oh, there's been so many adventures. When I was younger in college, we had an opportunity, or I did, to sing with a choir in Bethlehem on Christmas
Oh,
Eve.
wow.
And this was not recently, but even back then, I think it was the 90s, there was still trouble going on over there. So something had happened again, some sort of incident, and the British evacuated all their tourists, from what I remember. And there was only, it seemed, in the whole country left just our tour bus and one other tour bus that we would run into at the different locations, I think. And so we didn't have to wait in lines. We had plenty of room for everything. And you were just kind of, a little bit on edge, like, is it safe to be here? But enjoying the experience all the same. So we were singing in Manger Square on Christmas Eve, and nobody had told us that fireworks were going to be going off. And so these fireworks start going off, and you're like, oh, but it was okay.
It sounds like there's a lot of different feelings with that. There's the surprise of the fireworks, there's a little bit of uncertainty what's going on, but you also just had to be aware that it was such an amazing opportunity to be there on Christmas Eve.
Yes, that was a long time ago, but I have not forgotten that trip. It was amazing.
Mm.
Then actually, when I went on that European river cruise, I had something very funny happen to me. We were dining in the dining room, and they had an opera singer performing for us. And as they sometimes do, the performer, he went out to get some audience participation, and he walked over to me
Oh,
and held out his hand. And it's like, oh my word. But I didn't want to be one of those people that was like, no, no, I don't want to. Yeah, so I took his hand, and he pulled me up, and he wrapped his arms around me as he's singing away.
oh my.
And there's a picture of me. I think I may have even posted on Instagram if anybody wants to look back far enough, and you can see me kind of like with my eyes raised to heaven, waiting for it to be over.
That is funny. That reminds me, I used to work at Silver Dollar City, which is a theme park in Branson, Missouri. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I have been to Branson. I don't know if I've ever been to Silver Dollar City, though.
Yes. And so the people who work there, it's a theme park that's set in the 1800s. I would wear long dresses and boots and all of these things, and I was there at Christmas. And I was wearing this hat, which was not from the 1800s, but it was a Christmas hat that had little lights on it that would light up. And it was just,
cute.
just a way for, people to notice me. I was actually a photographer, so I was walking around getting people's pictures and then, they could see the pictures at the end if they wanted to buy them. So, I needed people to be able to notice me. Well, this one guy comes up and he just, like you're saying, like he just put his arm around my shoulder and he's like, I want to get a picture with you. And I'm like, just frozen, like what's happening? And he's like, it's okay, I'm Canadian. I'm not really sure why that made it better. And, his wife was the one taking the picture, but it was just kind of funny. I'm like, okay.
That's funny.
So, switching gears a little bit, have you always wanted to be a writer?
I am not one of those people that has a story. I hear others say, oh, when I was 5 years old, I was carrying around a notepad and a pencil and pretending to be a writer. I've always wanted to be it. And it really wasn't the case for me. I loved books when I was a kid, but I think since I loved them so much, it didn't even occur to me that I could write them. It seemed like you had to be Albert Einstein or somebody to create these wonderful books. And it wasn't until I was finishing a degree studying music, after studying music for 4 years and then realizing, you know what, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. What do I want to do? And then I decided to be a writer and went into a journalism program after that. And it was a long, complicated journey, but I'm very thankful that God was with me every step of the way. Sometimes his plans, actually, not just sometimes, it seems like a lot of times when you look at all the Bible stories, they take a while to actually reach the goal. But as long as we don't give up and we trust him and we keep going, it will happen.
Yes, that's very true. And I like what you were saying. I always kind of looked at writers. I am one who has always wanted to be a writer, but when I got into that young adulthood, there's always so much of life to do. They're so busy. It just seems like people who actually wrote books, like they must possess a little bit of magic or something, And then I was a book blogger and still am a book blogger, but it was through some of those circles and going to book signings and meeting authors that I was like, wait a minute, they're just regular people like me. If they can do it, I can do it.
Yep. Exactly. And one thing I love about the writing community, as far as I've found, especially the Christian writing community, it is so supportive of each other. And the authors are so generous with their support and with their time and their encouragement. You would expect them to be like, no, everybody just look at my books, just buy my books. But no, they are talking about their friends' books and, hey, look at so-and-so, that story was great. And I just love that about the community.
Yes, that is so true. What drew you to write rom-coms?
I am a huge fan of happy endings. I need my happy endings very badly. So the rom-coms really fit in for that desire in me. It's okay if I'm watching a movie or reading a story, if I'm crying a little in the middle, but I'd better be smiling by the end. And when I was growing up, I really loved the classic Hollywood musicals with like Gene Kelly and Judy Garland and Fred Astaire and all of them. And very, very often they had happy endings. It was kind of shocking if they didn't. So that probably birthed that love for me early.
Yes, those are some good stories and a good, if you're looking for stories to emulate, those would be good ones to look at. So you have another series called the Sweetheart series. Are those books rom-coms too?
Yes, they are, although they're in an entirely different setting. They're set in a small town, fictional Texas town, kind of Hallmark style. And Sweetheart is the name of the Texas. That's why it's called the Sweetheart series. You might think, why would you name it Sweetheart? Well, there's actually some very interesting names of Texas towns. I live in Texas. There is Bacon, Texas, and Ding Dong, Texas, I think. So Sweetheart really isn't that odd.
Yes. My mom is from Texas, so yes, I've been through some of these places.
Mm-hmm. And the characters, each book is just about a different couple, and it carries through some of the funny, quirky side characters that live there in the town with a new romance in each book.
Now, reviews of your books mention faith themes. Why is it important to you to include a faith element in your novels?
You know that verse in the Bible that says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh?
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of applies to writing as well. Out of the abundance of the heart, the fingers typeth. It's not that I really try to work hard on putting sermons or anything in my stories, but I'm hoping that whatever God is doing inside of me is coming out in my writing at the same time. So if my characters are struggling with a certain aspect, that may be because I'm struggling with that at the same time. And so it's real to me and it's tangible. And hopefully it will be real and tangible to the reader as well. And it won't just feel like I'm up on my high horse, because this is a Christian novel. I want it to feel genuine and authentic.
Yes. Now, your website says that you were briefly a librarian for a school in Botswana, Africa. That sounds like an experience, and can you tell us about that?
Oh, that was another adventure. Yes, a school year in Botswana. I taught in a school there and was the librarian. And we were there for a school year, but they do their school years a little differently. They'll do 3 months on and 1 month off. And 3 months on and 1 month off. So we were actually there from January till around November, I believe. And that may not sound that long in American time, but when you live in Africa, especially back then, 3 months can feel more like a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it really felt like we were there a long time. Time moved very slowly. And it was just a really wonderful opportunity to immerse yourselves in a different place, in a different culture, learning how to drive with the steering wheel on the opposite side of the car and on the wrong side of the road. And where we lived, it could be a little dangerous. We had a wall around the house that we lived in, and one night thieves broke in through the wall, and God protected us, and they did not get in the house. But it was something that helped to open my eyes and broaden my horizons. And I'm very thankful that I had that opportunity. One of my things that I still do, my day job, is as a music teacher here in Texas. And it's interesting to me how my students back then in Africa and my students here in Texas, kids will be kids no matter which country you are in. And they still like to talk in the library, and you have to get on to them sometimes, and they still will laugh and play and sing, and it doesn't matter where you're at. The students still have that same feeling.
Those people are people, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So another thing that your website talks about is that you love singing tunes from classic musicals, and you also mentioned that a little bit earlier. So what are some of your favorites, either songs or movies?
Oh, I have seen so many through my life that it would be really, really hard to pick a favorite. And, I am a music teacher, so music is a huge part of my life, and it just comes leaking out sometimes when it's least expected. Gene Kelly is definitely one of my favorites. I like The Pirate and Summer Stock and Brigadoon. The old Disney musicals, I don't know if you ever saw any of them, like The Happiest Millionaire or Pete's Dragon.
Oh, yeah, I grew up on Pete's Dragon.
Yes, so I might just be walking along, and if it's Christmas time, I see a candle somewhere, I might start singing, I'll be your candle on the water.
Yes.
Or if I'm getting up in the morning, a song from Oklahoma might pop in my head. Oh, what a beautiful morning. It's just ingrained in me.
Yeah, I have a funny story about that. My sister, when I was growing up and we shared a room, she would tell me that I would sing in my sleep.
Oh no.
Yes, she said you don't talk in your sleep, you don't snore, but sometimes you sing. And I'm like, well, what do I sing? I was very curious about this.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, mostly it's church songs, but one time you were singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, I think that's adorable. I should write a character that sings in her sleep. I like that.
Yes. And so I was like, well, there's worse things than to be singing hymns or show tunes.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So what are some of the other delights in your life?
Well, my delights have to stay pretty close to home these days. My mother is 85 and is suffering from pretty serious health problems with Parkinson's and dementia. And I help to take care of her. So props to all the caretakers out there that might be listening to this. I see you and I feel you. So I find pleasures that are close by. One unusual thing that I really like to do is watch Korean dramas. A friend got me into those, a family friend. And I've enjoyed watching those. And one thing I like about them is, especially when I first started watching them, since they're in a different language, you have to concentrate more and you're reading the subtitles. And I think it helped my mind escape
Mm-hmm.
by, having to really concentrate and pay attention. Whereas when we're watching something in English, we can just kind of tune it out and our mind drifts. And then also with teaching the children, one of my favorite times of the year is Christmas program time. And I get really immersed in that and can take a lot of joy in it. Sometimes just all the little details and directing them and doing the solos and trying to figure out what they're going to wear and picking the songs. That has been a lot of fun in recent years.
That's great. And I know being a teacher, you're teaching them music, but you're also a part of their lives in other ways. And I'm sure that, you see that too in the relationships that you build with them and things like that.
It's so true. And one of the things I did this last school year that was so rewarding, we did a after school worship choir that kids could volunteer to join. And even though it was after hours and I was tired after a long day at school, and I admit I didn't always want to stay for that extra time, I could sense inside of me, this is important. These are the songs that really matter, that we're teaching them now, not the fun, silly songs I might be singing with them earlier in the day. And that brought a deeper level of meaning to my job as well.
Wow, that's a really awesome opportunity. And
Yes, it was.
and I really admire you for helping care for your mom. I've had friends who walked that journey, and just at different times I was able to step in a little bit so that they could have some respite themselves from caregiving. And just from my very little time doing that, I could just see what a labor of love that was. And, we talk sometimes about the sanctity of life, and a lot of times that we use that to refer to the unborn, which is true, but I saw that in a completely different way, helping with my friend's grandmother in this case, and just seeing the honor that you can give to someone and care. And it is a huge sacrifice, but it is a way to honor them and to honor life, to help care for them.
Yes, and God bless you for helping your friend out. It is so true that friends can be such a support in a difficult time like that.
So I know you are also a huge Jane Austen fan, and you say that Mr. Darcy is your favorite hero. So what is
Oh, yes.
something that you really love about Jane Austen?
Well, the happy endings, of course. And depending on which book you're reading, it might be a kind of a more qualified happy ending. Even though Pride and Prejudice is my favorite kind of overall story, and Mr. Darcy is my favorite hero of hers, the book of hers that I reread more often is Persuasion, that she wrote more towards the end of her life. And you can kind of feel the more bittersweet beauty in it, where it isn't all happy, joyful. The heroine life has kind of passed her by a little bit, and yet good old Jane, by the end of the story, that heroine has found her hero and her happy ending as well, even if the journey wasn't quite all balls and dressing up and everything as much as some of the other stories.
Yes, I am a Jane Austen fan as well. I like Persuasion. And, like you said, not only has she found her love story, it's actually, very deep and passionate love that is, it's mature. And because
Yes.
they came together later, it is a little bit deeper. I was also someone who, met the love of my life later in life. I just got married recently. I met him the week after my 41st birthday. So kind of had to wait a while.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did y'all know each other before, or you just met?
We just met. Yeah, so we met last June, actually, and we got married in March. So things moved quickly once we were getting to know each other.
Well, I think by the time you reach your 40s, I am 45, you kind of know who you are, and sometimes it's easier to recognize who other people are quickly as well. So I can understand how that could happen very
Yes.
fast when you recognize something in someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with.
Yes. So that's definitely a blessing. And I think, young love is beautiful and it's amazing too. I think there is, you cherish each other in a different way when you find each other a little bit later in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you, is there a scripture that has been meaningful to you recently?
Most definitely. With my mom's health issues, and then also last year, I had a bit of a cancer scare myself, which thankfully turned out to be nothing, but I did have to go, well, it wasn't cancer anyway, but I did have to go through a biopsy, and, waiting for those results and knowing that my mother is already ill. At the verse that I would just repeat over and over to myself, even when I was going through the biopsy itself, in my head, I'm saying to myself, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your sins and heals all your diseases. I'm kind of mixing King James and NIV, I think, in my version. Who redeems your life from the pit. I especially like that part of it. It's just, sometimes life does feel like it shoved you in a pit when there are unexpected things that you're dealing with, be it health issues or caretaking or financial struggles, and you're looking up from the pit at the clouds far away going, God, are you going to get me out of here? And I love how the verse is just saying, bless the Lord, oh my soul, even in the hard times. We're praising him, we're blessing him.
Yes, that is a really good reminder. There's so many things in those verses, the different phrases that you could cling to.
Mm-hmm.
So where can readers connect with you?
I have a website, shannonsuedunlap.com. If you go there, you'll also find links to my social media. I have an author page on Facebook. I have my Instagram page, Shannon Sue Dunlap, again, if they want to look me up there. I have a page on Goodreads. So probably the easiest way would be just to go to the website, and that will take you to all the other places.
Sounds good. I hope they will go check that out.
Me too.
Listeners, I hope you will go over to Shannon's website to connect with her and learn more about her stories. So that's shannonsuedunlap.com, and she has a lot of great content there. Now, Shannon is not someone that I have met in person before, but she's going to be at the American Christian Fiction Writers Conference in September, and I will be there too. So I look forward to meeting her in person and getting to have some more connecting time there. If you are an aspiring author who is interested in a writing conference, I highly recommend American Christian Fiction Writers. Their conference is going to be in Springfield, Missouri in September, and I just love this conference for so many reasons. The worship is wonderful. They really fill you up as a believer in Christ so that then you can go and share the Lord through your stories. The workshops are great, and you get to meet really wonderful people and connect with other writers. And as Shannon mentioned, the Christian writer community is full of generous people who are they are eager to make friends and to support each other. And so I would highly recommend, if you are an aspiring author, to check out acfw.com to learn more. And like I said, their national conference is coming up in September, so there's plenty of time to register if you are interested in doing that. And if you have any questions about the conference or about anything else related to this show or my own writing journey, please reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram at author Erin Mifflin, and you can also sign up for my monthly newsletter at authorerinmifflin.com. Until next time, happy reading!
Join us next week for another episode of The Well-Read Llama with your host, author Erin Mifflin. If you'd like to find out more about author Erin Mifflin, visit her Facebook and Instagram accounts.